Hello, good morning. Welcome to Journey's Desk. Coming up this morning, President Akufo-Addo takes a dig at independent candidate Kwabena Owusu-Aduomi for a gist over his claims that the NPP is attempting to rig Tuesday's by-election. More as the NPP flag bearer, Dr. Bawumia begins his 2024 nationwide campaign. We have details for you this morning. Also, fundamental rights expressly guaranteed under 1992 Constitution under threat in Ghana. That's according to retired Justice of the Supreme Court, William Atuguba, who attributes this to Ghana's decaying politics. We have details shortly.
Seems to have developed into a kind of Bermuda Triangle, not involving the disappearance of airplanes, but the disappearance of fundamental human rights, liberties, democracy.
And thousands of victims of the Akonsombo Dam disaster continue to reel under very harsh conditions 6 months on as the government remains silent on resettlement and compensation plans. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Let's stay for the details. Retired Justice of the Supreme Court, William Atuguba, says fundamental rights expressly guaranteed under the 1992 Constitution are under threat in Ghana. Justice William Atuguba attributed this decline in the enjoyment of rights such as freedom of speech to Ghana's decaying politics and political leaders' lack of respect for these rights and liberties. He was speaking at an event to discuss free speech and academic freedom organized by the Harvard Club of Ghana.
Over and over and over again, these freedoms are expressly provided, enshrined, but we cannot enjoy them. That's a fundamental problem to deal with. And I think the problem is that politics seems to have developed into a kind of Bermuda Triangle, not involving the disappearance of airplanes, but the disappearance of fundamental human rights, liberties, democracy. Why does that happen? If that fundamental Bermuda Triangle is resolved, then the freedoms will be stabilized and enjoyed.
Meanwhile, former chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Charlotte Osei, says the state continues to weaponize criminal law to stifle free speech.
We're clearer in our minds what a democracy looked like, and the rules of all of us, and why we needed freedom of speech and all the media freedoms. At this point, we seem to have lost our sense of direction. So when we talk about the clamping down on freedom of expression and press freedoms, we tend to focus on the use of state power against either journalists or citizens who have criticized the state or said something the state doesn't like. And that is a key issue. It's a problem. And I think what we're seeing now is, if you read the stories that we see that are reported, and you take out the dates and just deal with what is happening, it's very confusing, because it's very similar to the stories we had in the military, when we were under military dictatorships, and that's why we're all concerned. So now, if I spoke here today and tomorrow I put out that I had been harassed subsequent to this event, even if it was not true, most people would believe me because of the culture we find ourselves in right now. And it's not just the current one. There are instances in all the regimes under the Fourth Republican Constitution. The issue now is that when you add media plurality, which we have corrupted, rather than it being a vehicle for increasing our freedoms, we have allowed politicians to hijack the ownership of the media houses. And so the plurality of the media houses has now become another tool, either for attack or for suppression of press freedoms. And is not held by the fact that security agencies are involved in suppression. So, for instance, the police can say that you can prophesy if you're a pastor, but do not cause fear and panic. Who decides what is fear and panic? Are we now going to use the reasonable man test in a criminal matter? And even more worrying is the use of the tool of criminal law to fight cases of defamation, especially when the people who are allegedly defamed are political party, politicians.
Well, President of the Harvard Club of Ghana, Dr. Sango Dele, described the current decline in media freedom as troubling, urging successive governments to do more to protect journalists.
We gather at a time when Ghana's democratic credentials are under scrutiny. Recent trends indicate a troubling decline in press freedom, the cornerstone of any democracy. In 2021, Ghana ranked 30th globally in press freedom, but fell dramatically to 60th in 2022. This decline is mirrored on the continental stage, where we slipped from 3rd to 13th in Africa. This period has been marked by alarming incidents. The West Africa Media Foundation records over 30 press freedom violations, including physical attacks, arrests, and threats against journalists. 67% of these violations, security agents of the state have been the perpetrators, which illustrates a disturbing state-led pattern of repression. These statistics are not just numbers. They represent a tangible threat to the free flow of information and the safety of those brave enough to report on the truths that shape our society. As we contend with these challenges, the role of academic institutions and their contribution to fostering a climate of free inquiry and scholarly debate has never been more significant. Academic freedom is the lifeblood of innovation and development in any society. It allows educators and students alike to pursue truth and knowledge without fear of reprisal or censorship. However, in environments where free speech is curtailed, academic freedom too is at risk. Universities must always be sanctuaries for free thought, where ideas can be debated and discussed openly. Safeguarding this freedom not only enriches academia, but strengthens the very foundations of our democracy.
President Akufo-Addo says persons manipulating the candidature of former MPP MP and independent candidate for Ejiso Kwabena Usei-Aduomi will fail in their bid to claim the seat from the NPP. Though the president is indifferent about the former MPP MP's decision to cut ties with the party, he says the candidate's attempt to result lies in staging a comeback should not be encouraged by voters. President Akufo-Addo says it is only the party's candidate who can lobby development for the constituency. He emphasized the need for the party to have a majority in parliament.
To me, say never done it here, my MPP. All right. So, person done it here. All cousin done it in my MPP. Now, never feel no more about no name in 2008. Obano. Not just so high. You know, MP, Emma Jusso, a cabinet minister, yeah, deputy minister, cabinet minister, minister of foreign affairs. Mijemu 2007, Semoko pray the Franca Tune Abano, and a young Wakufo, a Pejano, a Beshe Manemu, cabinet minister. Ono no baya, ono no besi kind. Eno Ebeye candidate in our faces obey MP. And they say, I know they're papa, yes, sir. I know they're not Nanichi. So I bow to cabinet minister, our Babe MP, and then they're Bonnie Bianim. Now, what do so be about the two? Woody, a friend say, deputy minister, and I ya. Emma and I own them now, Kika cancer. Sadia, no. Sadia, no. Yeah, independent beer. You who teach you. Since somebody said that she. So, pay you for be said that she, and yeah, one, no. So, Bano may say, you say, Embasso, but it's also no. And an answer of the acquiring ever a drizzle. If you bring a year for a bone, a day acquiring wire or the other churches of force or no, and a year quine. You want to be regional chairman. Yes, I may come far from you. When I signed it here, I could be a Wagana, me, and I'm a man who took me, and yes. The more Poby and the president, MPP president, Akasa, not to us on Penua. Near MPP, and Robert, no Babet Casa, I'd say.
President Akufo-Addo further dismissed allegations that the NPP will rig the elections.
That's all I say. You're here in MPP for Baby Rabanum. About a tomato, Mamma Betty, MPP, no. You're about a man, Sana mo peso chire. Ye say wi abanama no ana na we ebede. Ye ba be wi abanama no. O jaja isam so da na chi no ye minim di oye sa frafranto. Se chinyo. Ana ni mi enu nyina na abom e na oye a. O koso ye ne sa. No mo fa ya asam ma ba keka nsam na e fata etre.
Well, meanwhile, the camp of Kwabena Usei-Aduomi wrapping up their campaign are going through the streets of Ejiso convincing electors to vote their candidates, but the independent candidate and former MP himself, Kwabena Usei-Aduomi, has been responding to the president. Listen.
Bigwigs of the late Sunday night, the independent candidate was on the grounds to wrap up his campaign. Kwabena Usei-Aduomi severed ties with the NPP after a declaration to run as an independent candidate in the upcoming by-election. Mr. Aduomi claims the NPP lacks leadership, dismissing allegations of being a traitor.
I don't want to say anything bad against the president. He is the president of Ghana. I'm not a traitor. When I lost the primaries, did I go independent? I did not. I took it in faith. But when there is an issue that is contrary to the guidelines and regulations of the MPP party, and people raise concern, If they are good leaders, they should have solved it. If they are saying that I'm a traitor, even while I'm outside, the projects that I and Kofi Job we are doing, they all favor MPP. Adem is not a traitor. They should learn to be good leaders and solve problems that are in the party so that the party can stand up. I'm telling you, MPP has no spirit in Ajusu constituency and even in Ashanti region.
In response to the tag of being pushed by the NDC, Mr. Osu Adiomi wants the president to show evidence for the reason. He explains his candidature appeals to NDC supporters in the constituency due to his track record.
If the NDC man, if the president is saying MDC man, he has to prove I am not an NDC man because NDC people, they like me. All the works that I did, they are all benefiting. Why have they seen me wearing NDC colors? It's because I said I'm going independent. That's why. The people here who are NDC, they want to vote for Adiomi because Adiomi did projects that benefited them. Now, let me answer what he said, I did it for them. Yes. Even when NDC was in power, I worked for my people. There are some 4 roads that I requested for from NDC government that was given me. 4 major roads. I did it in NDC time. So all the projects that I did, I love it and I had it. Having said that, I used my own pocket money. But who is government? Government is all of us. The roads were not done by the president's pocket money. It wasn't by the vice president's pocket money. It wasn't by any of them pocket money. It is the revenue, it is the sources, it's the funds of the state that were used to do it. What is important is that if you are an MP, you lobby for projects for your people.
Earlier, some supporters of Kwabena Osu Adiomi hit the streets of Ejoso to campaign.
Well, I've been joined by campaign leader of Kwabena Adiomi, Nana Osei-Bonsu, for more on this. Nana, grateful for your time. The president says your candidate lied about his allegation that the NPP is planning to rig the elections, describing it as unfair. How do you respond to this?
Well, first of all, let me say very cherished as a matter of fact, NPP is planning to rig the election. They've been here for the past 2 weeks. They've assessed the situation on the ground themselves, and they've come to the realization that Joshua is poised to vote massively for Mr. Osu Adiomi. And for that reason, they now want to resort to evil machinations.
What's the evidence? What's the evidence?
The point is, Madam Fremont Osei last week met with teachers. And during the meeting, she mentioned to the teachers that they intend to use national security personnel as police station executives.
Do you have the tape of Fremont Paris saying that?
I can't readily provide it, but we can get it because people were there. It was said in public. The people who were in there were more than 200.
I will appreciate it if you are able to provide this tape for us. It will be very important for us.
After this interview, I'll try and get it to you. So, that is what it tells. You see, from all indications, I mean, for what reason would anybody be thinking of using national security personnel as police station pooling agents? Because when did we start using national security personnel as pooling agents? Again, there is this vehicle that is a marked vehicle. That's the MPP Women's Wing. That was seen within the constituency, and as we speak, it is at Kwamo Executive Lodge. In the third vehicle, there are ballot papers in there, and so we sort of wonder what they are using ballot papers for. All of this takes point to the fact that they intend to rig the election. But we can assure them that Joshua is not going to sit and watch them manipulate the outcome of the result. They are going to vote massively tomorrow for Mr. Osu Adiomi, and we're going to protect the ballot as well.
The MPP has also accused you of spewing lies to the electorate to make them believe that Kwabena Aduomi is still vying on NPP's ticket. But why would you do that?
We haven't said anywhere that he's still contesting on NPP's ticket. We haven't mentioned anywhere. In any case, the fact gives them away. Notice of post has been posted all around in the constituency, and everybody has seen that he's contesting on an independent ticket. And so where from this claim that we were going about telling people that he's contesting on NPP ticket? It flies in the face of common sense.
Well, is your candidate worried, Nana, after yesterday's massive campaign by the NPP in the Ejiso constituency?
He is not a bit worried about what happened yesterday. In any case, what happened yesterday? You don't even know what happened yesterday. We are not. He still remains unshaken and unwavering in his pursuit for the Ejiso seat.
All right, Nana Ose Bonso is the lead campaign for the Kwabena Aduomi team. I've also been joined by senior political science lecturer at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, Dr. Kwame Kwesi Amache Boateng, for a conversation on this. Dr. Amache, grateful for your time. This weekend, we saw all the NPP bigwigs, including the president himself, going to Ejiso to campaign, even though the NDC is not participating. Is the NPP threatened by the former MP, now independent candidate?
Thanks for this opportunity, and let me say good morning to your viewers. Is the NPP threatened by these elections? Well, maybe at the end of the day, we'll be able to say something about that. But let me say that we are in a major election season, so that if there's a by-election today and they all come to, provide support to the local candidate, they are not just doing that. They are also, in a way, informing the rank and file, and also Ashanti region that, look, elections are closer, and so here we are presenting ourselves to you, vote for us. One can make that argument, and then going by the conversation that you feel like unfolded there, you don't see anything that indicates that anyone is panicking. So I want to give them the benefit of the doubt and say that we are in a major election season. So with this by-elections, coming up with us, they will all want to show their face and let the electors know that, look, vote for our candidate. We are also here and we'll be coming back to you, very soon for the main elections. Another thing I believe the occasion, the big weeks all coming down, is the fact that the MPP cannot afford to lose the Ejiso's by-elections. They can't afford to lose. This because of the current context of politics in the country. Essentially, the economy is struggling. And thanks to Dr. Baumia, we know that when the exchange rate behaves in a particular way, then we have an indication that the fundamentals of the economy are where they are. And if you go to the market where the real economy manifests itself, things the prices of things keep going up, and everybody complains. The MPP is very much aware of this, and they know that the economy is going to be the final decider of things. So they can't afford to let anything slip. This is going to be a test of their strength at Ejiso and generally in Ashanti region. Some of us also believe that Ashanti region has been sort of gone through some restructuring as far as that unwavering support for the party is concerned. And I think people have decided to take a second look at things. And they want to come and prove people wrong that, look, there were these by-elections in Ejiso and we won massive. So we still have the support in the Ashanti region. If there are any people anywhere who believe that, they won't vote for the party, they should stand strong and tall and lend their support to the party. I believe these factors occasion what we saw in Ejiso, with everybody coming out there.
Doc, with all the resources at the disposal of the NPP, it seems to be struggling. What could be giving the former MP this traction?
Actually, the former MP did work for the constituency. You know, he did make mention of the fact that even when they were in opposition, he could lobby the ruling government to, you know, provide some support for the constituency. So, you see, and one thing, the current nature of politics in the party, especially when it gets to the primaries, it becomes something that, you know, one could go in and purchase. And that does not necessarily mean that the person endears himself or herself to the whole constituency. It is like the constituency finds itself in a corner. They have already boxed themselves into, you know, behaving that we are diehard members of the party, irrespective of whatever happens, we stand with the party. And so these politicians have been taking them for granted. Anytime anyone goes in to buy the elections at the primaries, the person is not going to be bothered about what happens in the constituency. That was not necessarily what Mr. Diome did. So now that he's coming back, he can point to specific, you know, projects that have benefited everybody. So he really has a strong appeal to the constituency. The other people who are all come are new. They don't have anything to point to. And the party's the government fortunes in the country too is nothing to write home about. The economy is in a terribly bad shape. Ghana is on its knees, cannot pay its debts domestically, internationally. The cedi to the dollar, we know what is happening, prices of goods and services. So all these things are not working for the MPP. So that's why, you know, Mr. Diome is enjoying the traction that you mentioned of.
Well, the MP says that vote for me because I have brought lots of development in the area. The president now says that if we, the NPP government, did not give you the opportunity, you wouldn't have been able to do those developmental projects. So vote the NPP. What, in your estimation, will be the thrust of the Ejisu by-election, despite the fact that it's an NPP-dominated constituency?
I think they're going for the individual factor. The fact that the NPP continues to be in office today, and they cannot boast of any major thing that Mr. Diome did not bring there. If that is the case, and Mr. Diome stands tall as far as projects in Ejisu are concerned, then definitely they will lend their support to him. You know, it means that the individual matters, the individual member of parliament matters, the individual's, you know, strong, deep commitment to the welfare of the people he or she represents matters. And that will also show in the way the individual goes about doing what has to be done, lobbying to get, you know, projects for the place. And Mr. Diome's record is, you know, would take a beating. If he could engage the NDC when the NDC was in government and get, you know, something for this thing, then he stands tall and strong. Besides, the people in the Ejisu know, they know that the current NPP government has not really, you know, done very well in terms of managing the whole country's affairs. The governance has not been, you know, anything to write home about. They are all suffering. Ejisu market is there. And when you go there, I was there just yesterday, and it's the place that I personally experienced people complaining about the hardships in the system. So all these things are simply not working, you know, in favor of the party, and neither in the candidates of the party.
I'm grateful for your time. Dr. Kwesi Amache-Boateng is a political science lecturer at the KNUST. Still on the NPP presidential candidate, Dr. Mamadou Bawumia will embark on a nationwide campaign today. He has promised to undertake a practical campaign that will tackle the issues that are most dear to the Ghanaian people. Communications Director of the Bawumia campaign team, Dennis Miracles Abuaje, says the campaign begins in the eastern region. Let's speak with correspondent Maxwell Kudeko, who's been following the flag bearer of the NPP for more. Maxwell, where is Dr. Bawumia now, and what has he been saying to the electorate?
Well, he commenced the day today at Ekropon at the Presbyterian Church Grace Congregation in Ekropon, where he's currently having a breakfast meeting with the leadership of some faith-based groups in the eastern region. They include the clergy, the imams, and other faith-based organizations. In this meeting, the vice president and the running mate, the presidential candidate for the NPP has been telling the gathering that given the opportunity as vice president, he has performed far better than his political opponent, Mr. John Dramani Mahama, whilst he was also a vice president. So he believed that he is more competent and better placed to move Ghana to the next level than Mr. John Dramani Mahama. So Ghana should give him that opportunity. He mentioned that he admitted that there is a power challenge in the country. However, the Minister of Energy has assured him that very soon the power crisis will be over. So the clergymen and the Ghanaians should have faith that the NPP government is still on course settling issue. He talked about the fact that there is a need to create jobs for the people. So his government, given opportunity, will introduce they will intensify what they call the community mining module. He said that they are going to develop a curriculum with the TVET institutions to train the youth in sustainable mining and practices, and also establish community mining schemes for the youth in those communities. He added that his government will also introduce what he called the Mining Development Bank. That bank is going to be a source of financing for the mining and the extractive industry. They're going to support the youth in mining, and that they ensure that the money stays in the country. He mentioned that for a very long time, the faith-based organization have been supportive to government, but it appears that the partnership has not been solid. He said a lot of churches have built schools and hospitals. His administration is going to partner well with the faith-based organizations and then ensure that that kind of partnership for development exists between the faith-based organization and then also the government. He touched about the fact that a lot of people complain about duties at our port. His government is going to review the policies at the port and ensure that in his administration, the prices that people pay or the duties that people pay on import, especially cars at Lome, is going to be at par with that of Ghana in order to keep the goods still coming in through our port. The conversation is still ongoing. The clergyman has been asking questions about some funds that have been locked down by some financial institution. They've been asking questions about the economy and is assuring them that things are going to get better. And that is
Maxwell Agbagba, who is following Maxwell Kodeko, who's following the NPP flag bearer. We'll be bringing you more of this in our subsequent bulletins. In our Dumso Diaries today, we'll take you to Odoko Buzia Junction, where a 53-year-old man and his 50-year-old brother who run a tailoring shop lament how the intermittent power supply is affecting them. Adobia Sari tells the story of the struggles of these artisans in the midst of the Dumso crisis.
Edward Chibo is a 53-year-old man whose livelihood depends only on his handicraft, sewing. The recent inconsistent supply of power is having a terrible toll on him.
I'm experiencing power cuts very well. When the power is off, our work also gets stuck. We don't meet our customers' needs.
His younger brother, 50-year-old Benjamin Jobo, works with him. He recounts how he had to improvise to satisfy a client when Dunso took a seat at his workplace.
Sometimes it goes off and doesn't come until the next day. So 4 days ago, it went off. So I had to run to East Legon to go and do some job for someone because the person needed it so much.
The men share with me how they have no other alternative to make ends meet.
This is what we do to make a living. So when there is no power, you can't do any work. We don't have any other work to do attached to what we are doing now. We are just sewing. Things are stuck. So even if you get a generator and you sew, how much will you charge your customer for the person to be able to pay. Even with electricity, when you charge, they complain. So when you add generator, you buy fuel to sow, and you have to add a little more cost to it. It's very disgusting.
So you use electric machines here. What is the Dumso causing you to do differently?
We use hand sewing machines, but when the light goes off, you can sew. Up to some point, you need the iron to iron. So if it gets to that point, you can't do anything.
So how is the situation affecting them financially?
Power cuts here in Ghana make us lose a lot of money, because in a week, at least, if you don't have anything, at least in a week you can have, if you don't have anything, you can have at least some 1,000 B. But when power interruptions happen like that, you cannot have that money. You end up maybe what you use to buy food. When you after buying food, you don't have anything again. Our financial status is not going up. We always drop down.
Now that the lights goes off and doesn't come out, you can't pinpoint on what you get in the week. It's a problem.
The way you have to feed your family is even difficult for us. It's very difficult for us. The children's school, and then fees and all sorts of stuff. Those things make us stuck.
These brothers, like majority of business owners, are calling for a load shedding timetable.
The load shedding has to come so that everybody will know how to plan his or her things.
We want a load shedding timetable to be out for us, so that we can adjust ourselves. If it has to be a night thing, we can do the night. Then the next day, when the light will go off, we can sleep. We need a timetable, but the timetable too is not coming for.
Because of the loyalty of their customers, Benjamin and Edward haven't lost any customers yet. However, they feel unsatisfied anytime a customer's demand isn't met due to the power crisis.
Are you the tailor doing the job? You feel bad, because that is your customer who has been giving you job all the time for you to get something into your pocket.
In the same vein, some seamstresses at the Kantamandu market here in Accra have not been left out of this crisis. They lament vehemently how they continue to lose customers because of the power cuts.
If you are light off now, it immediately 3 days.
Sometimes our lights go out for 3 days. This retards our progress with work, and we tend to lose customers. It's electricity we use in doing our work, so when it goes off, I have no other option than to go home. The power situation is really affecting us.
These
things I sew are things I sell to take care of my family, so it's troubling when the lights goes off.
Thousands of artisans across the country continue to reel under the devastating impact of Dumso and do not have a clue on how to navigate around their businesses. With the back and forth on what really is the cause of this situation, whose job is it really to ensure a stable power supply for these people? Adobe Asari's report read to you.
Dumso Diaries airs on Joy News and Joy FM Mondays and Wednesday. Let's get on to other stories. On 15 September 2023, the lives of nearly 39,000 Ghanaians changed forever. This is because the Volta River Authority decided to open the floodgates of the country's largest hydro dam, the Akonsombo Dam, citing excess water levels that they claim threatened the sustainability of the dam. Days later, hundreds of communities downstream got flooded. Thousands of livelihoods and homes were destroyed, rendering many homeless and disrupting education. 6 months after that unprecedented, excruciating disaster. The victims are yet to get their lives back as government remains silent on the way forward. Joy News went back into that community to gauge life after the disaster. Here are excerpts of our latest documentary.
The Volta River Authority, the VRA, announced a controlled spillage of the Akosombo Hydro Dam on September 15, 2023, citing excess water levels. However, this single decision became and still is a major disaster in the area thus far, affecting an estimated 39,000 people in the lower Volta Basin. Public toilets, mortuaries, hospitals, refuse dams, homes, farms, schools, and even roads were submerged. Education was severely disrupted. Schools like this one in Agbetikpo in the North Tongo district of the Volta region became shelters for thousands of flood victims. Classrooms became bedrooms, and for months, education was severely disrupted.
They don't have any class to learn. There is nothing like class for them. So UNICEF came to our aid to donate this tent for the teachers and the students to be managing.
Janet Agbavo is the class teacher for KG 1 and 2 here at Agbetikpo makeshift tent classroom. We want to find out from her how she's been coping with the situation. How many kids do you have in this class?
Over 74.
And you are the only teacher?
Yes, please.
Tell us, how are you coping?
The situation here is not easy, but we are managing because the kids too, sometimes because of the hot weather over here, the tent under the tent is not easy, but we are managing.
Let's take a break on Joy News Desk. We'll be back with business.
Good morning. Welcome to business here on Joy News Desk with me, Pius Kojo Baka. Chief Executive of the Kufuor Foundation, Professor Bafo Ajimandua, has asked government to ensure its agricultural policies attract more youth to the sector. He suggests the re-examining and adoption of agricultural policies under the Nkrumah and Acheampong regimes to get the youth interested in the sector. Here is more in this report.
It is estimated that Ghana's active farming age is plummeting as the older generation is now holding the fort to keep the agricultural sector booming. This is as a result of the lack of interest in agriculture by the youth, owing to a non-revolutionized technology-based agricultural system. Speaking at the second edition of the J.A. Kufuor Youth in Agribusiness Festival in Kumasi, CEO of the foundation, Professor Ajimandua, emphasized the need to adopt farming practices that would attract the youth.
The mode of farming has changed. We're in a different world, technologies and all. And young people don't have what it takes to acquire those things. That's why I'm very particular about the kinds of policies that can provide the support that will make agriculture more attractive. Mind you, the farmers we have are aging. So if you don't even get replacements, young people like you and others to get into farming, a time will come we won't even have farmers. In Nkrumah's time, we had what we call the workers' brigade doing farming. Maybe there were some problems with that. We can examine it to see if we can modify that concept and bring young people in to do farming. The Champion's time, Operation Feed Yourself, we can look at it, modify it, and make sure it can get people in to do farming.
The festival is aimed at opening opportunities and nurturing a younger generation of agribusiness experts. Professor Bafo Ajimandua says the festival is motivating the youth to venture into agribusiness.
From the last 2 years, what we did, at least I'm beginning to see real signs of success because we have some of them coming back to testify to what they have achieved over this short period. So we are hoping that today's event will also motivate more young people
to get into the agribusiness.
Coordinator of the Agribusiness Festival, Jeffrey Ajiman, emphasized the need to have more youth in agribusiness.
The agribusiness sector presents a very golden opportunity in the sense that the sector is a value chain driven. So it is not just a one stacked area. The sector starts from pre-production to production to processing to value addition and to marketing. So we think that the young people can have that information and identify areas within the value chain and the role that they can play. And this is what we are urging them to take advantage of.
Some participants at the festival expressed high interest in agribusiness.
And that you don't have to know a lot of things about agric before you go into the business. I've learned that even if I were to do it as my major profession, I can do it as a side one. I don't have to get any idea about agric before I venture into agric business.
I love animals and I would want to rear animals one day.
For Joy News, my name is Emmanuel Bright Quickle.
The National Banking College has assured it will work with rural banks, savings and loan institutions and other microcredit organizations to broaden their networks and deepen their impact across various sectors of the economy. Speaking at the launch of the 30th anniversary celebration of the National Banking College, the principal, Gloria Quarty, said management will leverage emerging technologies to provide financial sector players with top-notch skills and training. Here's more.
Over the past 3 decades, the Ghana Banking College has been recognized as a premier professional training institute focusing on the development of bankers and financial professionals in Ghana and beyond. Speaking at the launch of the 30th anniversary of the Ghana Banking College in Accra, principal of the college, Gloria Quarty, said management will be collaborating with rural banks, savings and loans institutions and other microcredit organizations to ensure a comprehensive coverage to tackle the evolving financial landscape with its associated challenges.
Over time, we have also realized that there's been a lot of shortcomings in the rural banks, so savings and loans, micro finance institutions and the like. But for us to have a holistic, sanitized financial services sector, they are key players. And so it is very important for us to also work with them to ensure that we are just not focusing on parts of the industry, but at the whole industry. And then we can begin to see significant changes in our economy in general.
She tells Joy Business they will be leveraging technology to expand their scope of operations.
That's all for business. I am Pius Kujubaka.
And that's where we draw the curtains on Joy News Desk. And log on to myjoyonline.com for more of the news and updates of all the developing stories. See you again at 12.